Hello everyone, this is Priyanka. Welcome to my channel Priyanka's IT School. Today in this video, I will be talking about different web element and how Selenium helps you to identify those web element and to test those web element. So what exactly web element it is? See, whenever you open any software application, right? At that point, just for interaction with that application, you are able to see certain UI, correct? That UI is nothing but graphical user interface. Like if I can show you, if I open this application, you can see there are certain, there is certain search box available, some link is available, some data is available. Even if you can check this application, different fields available, some kind of, the check boxes, radio button, even you can see some kind of drop downs. Okay, some fields are available. So what are these? These are called graphical user interface. Even on Google site, this is what one of the graphical user interface through which we can perform search inside this search engine. So guys, how to interact any web element in Selenium? This is what our point today for discussion. So first of all, web element is like if anybody asks you like what is web element in Selenium, do remember that any graphical user element that's called web element. But the technical answer is web element is interface in Selenium. Okay. So first of all, this is the interface. How to automate? A very simple question. How to automate any web element? Guys, we need to start with identification first. So there are two steps. You need to identify web element first, and then you can simple perform action on that web element. So these two steps we need to understand how to identify any web element and how to perform any action on any web element. So to interact with any web element, Selenium support locator, right? Any element if you want to really identify from that web page, Selenium support locator for the same. Now guys, what is locator? In a simple word, locator, it is an address, okay? It is an address of web element from that particular web page. To remember this, locator is just the address of web element from web page. So that could be HTML web page or that could be XML web page, right? So generally web page design in the same language, HTML and XML. So any address of that web element is called locator in Selenium. Let me tell you, Selenium support total 8 locator. Selenium support total 8 locators. And let's list out the same. Okay, there are different locators available. So you need to understand very first the primary one. Okay, that's the ID. By ID. Second, I'm writing by name. Third, I'm writing, this is all about by class name. In Selenium, we have fourth locator to be followed. That's called by link text. Then we have fifth one, which is by partial link text. Okay. Then we have sixth locator, which is all about by tag name. And the two more, which are very special. So we can say these are dynamic locators. And in dynamic locators, we have seventh one, which is called by CSS selector. And the eighth one, which is called by XPath. So guys, do remember these are the important locators supported in Selenium. So generally every web page designed by the developers, right? And whenever they design the particular web page for every web element, they store certain address. Like if you can see on a Google, if I want to interact with this search box, very first we need to understand how many different or what the code is prepared by the developer for this web element. Once you understood that address, okay, then you can apply the locator. So basically the first step, we need to identify the search box. So guys, I will right click on search box and there you will get inspect option. This is the DOM area, document object model for this web page. And here you can see this section is completely highlighted in a blue color. So let me show you. If I can expand this, see. Here I can see that this is only text area which is highlighted in a blue color, right? because this is the particular code which is prepared by the developer for that search box. Now guys, how to apply locator? Here you can just observe. Whenever developer prepare this logic, different attributes and different values developer has simply set for this search box. So how to understand this code? This is the HTML programming, guys. You need to understand whatever it is available in the Angular packet. That's called simple tag name. Along with the tag name, you can see here it is written certain class. Class is equal to inside a double quote some value is written. So this class is nothing but attribute, and this value is nothing but value which is assigned to that attribute. So here area control, area rebel, okay, area owns, even area expanded. All these things are what? Name, role, rows, ID, all these things are nothing but attribute name. And inside a double quote, whatever it is mentioned, that's called value. So guys, there are multiple attributes you might find, correct? But which attribute Selenium will understand? Selenium not understand each and every attribute and its value. Selenium understand that particular web element only by following this locator. So very first, our main focus should be you need to identify is there any address, okay? Is there any locator available in your code? So yes, we have for Google by locator, you can see by ID is available. Even the name attribute is also available. Even class name. These three are what? These three are simple address or we can say attribute which is prepared for this search box and which is supported by the Selenium. The very first step you need to identify the address. Okay. Once you identify the address, now you can simple, perform action on that web element as per the type of web element. But again, one more question. Locator will simple get to know, okay, with the help of locator, you will get to know only address. How you can identify that web element? For identification, Selenium support two methods. Very first, find element method. Okay. Find element will help you to identify single web element. Do remember to identify single web element, we use find element method. And guys, we have one more, which is called find elements method. Find elements will help you to identify list of web elements. Okay. So this will help you to identify list of web elements. And we will see it, practically, like how we can simple identify list of web elements using find elements method. But you know what? Whenever you apply this Selenium WebDriver method, we need to pass inside this method as an argument your by locator. So first point, what is a by here? By is class in Selenium. Do remember. This is a class which represent or which simple, provides you all these address, all these locators. Okay. So by is class, web element is interface in Selenium. And to identify every web element with the help of this address, you need to follow this kind of method. Find element or find elements as per your requirement. So now let's understand how we can identify and how we can perform certain operation on this search box of Google. So I will be starting with very simple script now. So very first, let me create a new test case. I'll do one thing. I'll create a new package. So we are going to understand all the locators from the same. So let me show you different locators supported by Selenium. So here I will start with very simple test case. My class name is what? Let's say locator demo 1. Okay. So here I will be discussing about strategies. Okay. Different strategies that you can apply to identify the web element. So very first step, what we need to start? Guys, we need to start with the session. Create a driver session. Okay. How we can start? You need to write WebDriver driver. It is equal to new. And then we'll be writing our classify constructor. Let's create an object, right? And let's import the same. So I will be importing WebDriver from Selenium package, Chrome driver also from Selenium package. Now let's open our application. To open any application, we are going to use get command. Just write here your appropriate URL address. Let me write google.com And once the application will open, we need to start with what? We need to identify the address of that web element. So here I will be covering different strategies. Okay, you need to understand how exactly we can identify the web element and we can perform operations on that web element. So guys, very first, you need to inspect the web element, whatever you want to interact. Here, let me show you strategy or first example. Okay, let me write strategy 1. What exactly this strategy it is, where you can identify the web element. Okay, web element, we can identify web element, and there you can directly perform actions on that web element. This is what the strategy number 1. In strategy number 2, I will be explaining to you how you can identify the web element. Plus, if you really want to perform validation for the same, you can do the same, and then you can perform the action. In third strategy, I will be covering by locator technique. Okay. So here I will first identify the web element using by locator strategy, and this will help you for a framework designing too. So to create an object repository, generally we follow this particular, by locator technique. So let me write create an object repository. Okay. So let me write repository. We generally use, okay, by locator technique. So let me show you all these three things. Okay, how exactly these three strategy you can follow to automate any web element. So very first, we need to identify the web element. Now you can see when you inspect Google page, you guys are able to see this code area. This is actually called DOM area, where you can see ID is available, name is available, and class name is also available. You need to use ID, as ID is a primary locator. Okay, it has a first priority. So what I'll do, I'll just copy that value. Then I will come back to this entire, test case, and I will start writing. To interact with this single element, we have this method to be followed. Find element, and you can see the structure. You need to use this method. Inside a method, you need to pass by. What is this by? This is actually a by is a class, and second by, it is just a attribute, or we can say a variable or reference variable for that class. Correct? So you need to identify the web element, and here you are passing that by class object. So basically, example, let's see, if I just follow this, what I will be writing here, I will just write by class dot, and there you can see all the locator strategy, right? So currently I'm using ID locator. Let's use ID. And here you can pass that address, right? So guys, just remember one point. Whenever you write this way, okay, this is what we are writing a direct technique. Driver, we are trying to identify the web element whose address is this, whose address is this particular value. And when you identify it, immediately you can perform action too. So example here, this is a search box where we can simple perform data, right? We can pass certain data. So we have different methods to be followed. We have clear method, click method, we have send keys method. So as per the element, we can choose action. Currently, it is a search box. For any text box, for any search box where you are passing certain data, you can always use send keys. This is a method where you can pass certain data and you are able to see this result inside a console. Suppose I'm looking for test ng. Okay, so let me again write. I'm looking for test ng, this particular search element. Fine. So inside a search box, I'm looking for test ng. Guys, when you execute this, what will happen? Google page will open and it will search for the search box. And inside a search box, it will type test ng. Just have a look. So if I execute this code, what is the output? Let this run and see. Google page open and test ng got simple inserted here in the search box. And I'm getting other options, okay, list of options for the same keyword. And this is how we are able to interact with the Google search box using this ID locator, right? But this is a first strategy. Like you can try with second one. where you can identify the web element. You can perform certain validation too, and then you can perform certain action. So let me help you with this technique. Very first, I will again start driver.findElement by.id, and here we are passing that ID, correct? But at this moment, find element is a method whose return type is web element, guys. As I told you, web element is a separate interface available in Selenium, correct? So at this moment, if you really want to perform some more of actions on your web element, you can declare the same. So here I'm going to declare it. Let me write before driver. Let me write web element, and this is my element. Okay. At this moment, let me import web element from Selenium package. Now you can see the second strategy. You have separate element with you, right? So you can just write, this is a search element. So I will be writing this way. Okay. This is search element. Okay. Just a minute. Let me write search element. Fine. So this is my search element, and now I want to perform certain validation. Guys, in Selenium, if you really want to validate, okay, any web element, so we have certain methods to be followed. Okay. Element, validate any web element, how it is possible. So we have certain method to be followed. Example, what is a general validation strategy? See, somewhere you can check that whether element is editable, whether element is display, or whether if it is a any kind of simple checkbox or radio button, then in that case we can test whether element is selected. So we have three methods, okay, to follow, like is enabled, okay. Then we have is displayed, okay, where you can check that whether element is displayed or not, right? And we have one more, which is called is selected. So again, as per your element type, you can choose particular method for validation purpose. At this moment, we have identified our search box. But here I want to test that whether this search box is displayed onto that page, whether it is really enabled or not, how you can test it. So at this moment, I'll just write a simple message. Is search box enabled? Let's see, it's search box enabled. How you can test it? You need to use the same, element, search element, and dot. Here you can apply, let me write properly, search element, dot operator, and see. These three methods you can apply for the validation purpose. Currently, I'm looking for is this element is enabled. Return type of these methods are always Boolean. So either you will get an answer in the form of true value or true or false. Correct? Now it's as per the Boolean data. So again, I'm writing second statement. Is my search box is displayed. Okay. It is displayed onto the page or not. And let's update a method too. So here I'm changing my method. Whether search box is displayed, right? If it is really enable and if it is really display, yes, we can have or we can perform action on that element. So again, you can write search element. What I want to do is I will be passing certain data here. Suppose I'm looking for cucumber, right? This time I want to just pass a data that is a cucumber into search box. So this is your second strategy that you can follow. Either you can do validation, then perform action onto that web element. And now see the result. If I again execute this strategy, okay, at this moment, already we have searched for the testing G. So now you can see how it works. See, along with the testing G, it has completed that action, right? And here we are able to see the result too. True and true. So basically search box is display, search box is enabled too. In between these two steps, if you really want to clear your web element, what you can do, we have already written here web element, right? So I will write in this way. Search element, okay, dot. We have one method to be followed, that's a clear. What the clear will do, initially testangi, cucumber, both get merged and we are able to see the result. But now when you apply clear method, the first result it will clear and then it will continue with the next, that is cucumber. So that is a concept of again how to use a clear method to clear the result, right? Or clear that particular web element or data, whatever you have passed. And now you can see how quickly we are able to see the result. Okay, so now we are getting result for the cucumber. And this is how you can test your web element, guys. What is the next technique to follow? The strategy number 3, which is a buy locator. Here, in this particular strategy, we identify the web element separately, right? So address we will keep separately, something like this. When you just apply by dot, see you are able to see that different locator. I'm using ID. Here I'm writing that particular step, okay, or that particular ID. So just now we have copied the same. I will be using here. See, okay. And this particular element, you can see this, like whenever you apply locator, by with that particular address, okay. Return type of this ID is what? It is providing you by class object only. So here I'm going to declare the same by, and this is what? My element. So guys, very first we are just going to declare, all the elements, whatever elements you want to interact. Then you can apply your method, driver dot find element. One more time, driver dot find element. There I can pass that element. If you really want to perform validation, store it into separate web element interface as a reference, correct? Otherwise, you can directly perform operation here. Say at this moment, suppose, let's say I want to perform two operations. I want to clear the previous result and then I want to search for next keyword. So better we can do what? We can declare it as a web element. So here again I'm writing, this is again search. Let me write search, okay, element. Again I'm writing with different spelling, search element or S element, whatever it is, fine. So this is how I have declared my element. Now I can do what? On S element, I can first perform clear. After clear step, I can add or I can pass certain data. That is with the help of send keys method. So send keys where I'm passing certain information or certain data. Here I'm writing. Suppose a new keyword, again I'm looking for, let's say Maven, right? So this time I'm passing Maven into this Google search. Even guys, if you really want to check each and every result, right? Then you can apply little bit pause in between the step. So I'm adding here thread.sleep, okay? A little bit static wait so that you guys are able to observe the accurate result for every step. So again, you can see after clear and once it write cucumber, right? I will be applying this pause. Again, I will apply pause after clearing the first step, right? And after that, you can see there is a Maven. Okay, let's see how these three steps will execute into that Google application. So very first, whenever you need to identify any web element, this is how you need to get to the address first, right? Using locator. Get the address and then you can perform operation on that web element. And this is how you can see now we are able to see that each and every result, right? So basically, this is a very first test case where I have discussed about how to identify any web element and how to perform any operation onto that web element. Remember these three strategies. This will help you a lot while automating any web element. In the future sessions, I will be covering different locator which is supported by the Selenium WebDriver. Today we have just discussed about ID, how to use ID locator and how to identify any web element and how to perform action onto that web element. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.